Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders Without podcast. Today, I have an absolute true leader with a heart in the purest sense of the word. My new good friend, Kim Wagner from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. We were connected through an amazing lady I had on my podcast about a month ago, Mary Gooden. She's an angel. She's been sending me a lot of incredible human beings, and I'm so happy to connect with Kim. We had a quick chat before that, and Kim is a very successful and established business person, as well as a true leader with a heart. She's a CEO of Wagner, her brand. I love the way you put the Psych-K facilitator. That's awesome. I love that. And then you're also a Reiki master, educator, and on top of that, a beautiful human being. We also happen to have something that might have, if you look at it from a purely at the first glance might sound something that is quite a tragic thing that happened to both of us, but we had a conversation before that. That's something that was a blessing in disguise that taught us a lot of amazing things. We're going to talk about that during the conversation, during this call. So Kim, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here. I'm excited.
Pleasure is mine. I'm also excited as well. Always awesome to have this amazing conversation with amazing people. So first of all, for people who don't know you, who's Kim?
Who's Kim? Kim's a small town girl in rural Queensland, Australia, who had an awful thing that happened that we shared that we'll talk about down the track. A very emotional thing that happened that broke my heart, which led me to a spiritual awakening. And more than that, it led me on a journey of questioning and of discovery. It led me to realize that there is so much more than that. And I don't mean that even in the spiritual way, but there is so much more. That we have so much control over how we think and how we feel and how we allow our circumstances become our lives. And it was really, it's just an amazing journey. And Kim is a person whose role on this planet or in this lifetime is to help as many people as possible to realize that they have the opportunity to live the most amazing, fulfilling, heart-centered life, and to give freely without expectation, and just to live the most amazing life like I am. It's phenomenal. That's Kim.
Love that. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but let me ask you, as I said, first some question to get to know the real Kim. What makes you happy?
Helping people, serving people.
Awesome.
That's it. There's nothing quite like seeing someone after I've worked with them, to see that the transformation, and see that they realize that the possibilities are endless, and that we can do anything.
Absolutely. What makes you smile?
The same. And being around people that are on the same wavelength as me, finding people in my tribe, connecting with people that are similar, realizing that the world is changing and that there's an uprising of love and compassion and beautiful healing power. That makes me happy and that makes me smile.
Awesome. That's going to be kind of related. What makes you come alive?
That's exactly it. It's every day is just a gift, and there's every day there's the possibility. It's a brand new day. We talked about this earlier. We wake up and it's fresh, it's new, and we have choices from the second that we wake up, that we can choose the direction of that day. Every day for me is like, it doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Saturday. You know, Mondays are just as exciting. In fact, I love Mondays. It's a new beginning of a new week to make changes, to help people to have opportunities and adventures, even in this weird and crazy time, to have adventures when you can't leave home. It's still possible.
You know, you mentioned something that's powerful. You said, I love Mondays now. Did you also love Mondays when you're working in a corporate 9 to 5?
I don't think so. I think Mondays meant that, but it's interesting because actually it's our perception of the Mondays, because it doesn't really matter where you are. It's your attitude, and it's how you see the world around you, and how you let the conditions on the outside affect you. So actually, that was the old me. That was when I felt like I was on probably a bit of a treadmill. This is life. You're born, you go to school, you get a job, you work, you die. That was how, that's what people do. And Mondays are good days. It doesn't matter where you are and what you're doing. It's a good day.
As long as you're doing something that you enjoy, because believe it or not, the only time in any job in my life that actually, in the morning when I woke up, looking forward to it was actually was working for a government a few years ago, but that's another story. So because I really enjoyed the work, what I was doing, because I was actually making an actual impact. If you're only going
Yes.
just to punch a clock or whatever and just go through papers on your desk, and of course you're not going to be looking forward, but you're actually helping someone and having an impact, then that's a different story.
It's
Awesome.
true. Although I will say though that if that's your role and that's your options of your job, you can still change your mindset to make that a more enjoyable place. It doesn't have to be miserable. So whilst
True.
you might not be impacting doing a one-on-one coaching session,
Mm-hmm.
it still can have meaning to you. And I think it's important to know that you don't need to be in a particularly heart-based business to feel fulfilled. Even if you're working in a grocery store or you're working in corporate America, Canada, Australia, I think still you can make your days better. We
Absolutely.
have
It's all about
the opportunity
mindset.
to do that.
Mindset and the power of asking the right question, as we just talked earlier.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Now, what makes you sad and angry?
I don't get angry. I just don't. I don't know why. I used to be very angry, but I don't now. What makes me sad or what concerns me is that I suppose at the moment in particular, there's a lot of misinformation in general. And I feel that there's such a huge fear mentality at the moment. And that makes me sad, because one of the biggest things that
Absolutely.
affects us, our immune system and our mindset, is fear. It actually knocks everything, all the good work that we've done. So that kind of makes me sad at the moment to see so many people living in fear, scared of so many things that before all of the bombarding of social media in the printed news and the TV, we probably wouldn't have thought about it twice. Whereas now it's sad to see so many people scared.
Absolutely. For
Yeah,
that reason, I
yeah.
don't even watch the news anymore, so
No, same. I
yeah,
actually don't know what's going on. I know the important things, of course, but there's
yeah.
the propaganda that goes on, regardless of
Oh,
what it is.
absolutely.
I'm completely oblivious, and people say things to me, and I say, I actually don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
There's
it's
something powerful that someone once told me. If something is really important, you will know about it,
exactly. And
Yeah.
someone said to me, when I was in corporate land, someone said to me, but how do you know what's going on in the world? And I said, but I don't need to. I need to know what's going on in my world. And I said, I don't need to watch the news. He would watch the news every day. He'd go home, that would be his whole thing. And he'd come to work and tell me all these things about what was going on around the world, all the horrible things, never the good things. And I'd say, I
Exactly.
don't need to know that. How is that
Exactly.
serving me? Yeah.
Exactly.
And he was really
Absolutely.
frustrated with me.
Yeah.
He didn't get it.
Absolutely. I'm the same. You mentioned something powerful as well. You said you don't get angry. So my question to you is, is there a correlation between you not being angry and having had your spiritual awakening? Did you get angry before that, or is that something that, as
Oh,
a result of you having this spiritual awakening, seeing things from a much higher perspective, now you say, okay, just let it flow?
I think it must be. Look, I was an angry teenager, typical angry teenage
Oh
girl.
yeah.
To the point where I think when I was about 19 or 20, I ended up having to go to a Chinese herbalist because I was unwell, and he said it's your liver, and it's because of
Oh
anger.
wow.
So I was
Oh yeah.
obviously, yeah. And it's interesting. I know why the anger was there now, and it has to do with the Psych-K and subconscious beliefs and intergenerational belief systems. But I think I wouldn't say that I just woke up one day and wasn't angry anymore. I would say that the work I've done over the years, and as I've worked on myself with Psych-K, and I've joined a Buddhist group many years ago, which led me to Reiki. I would say that what I've realized now is that it doesn't feel good to be angry, and it doesn't actually help the situation to be angry.
That's it.
Do I respond? I respond most of the time, but do I still react and occasionally have little flares? Or, yeah, absolutely. I'm not, absolutely, I do. But it's so fleeting. Someone can do something that is really horrendous, and probably I'm more hurt than angry, to be honest. But I will respond or react, and then I think, I literally think, oh, well, and I move on. And it's bizarre because it's not the same person I used to be, but what it means is that I don't really dip down into those feelings and those thoughts for a long time like I used to. Like I used to sort of live down there. When something would happen, I'd stew on it, and I'd think about it, and I'd turn it around, and and I'd lay in bed at night and think about it. But now I think, oh well, it's gone. So then I'd prefer to get myself back into a feeling of just feeling happy and free, because when you've been out of the anger situation for a long time and then you jump back in and you have these moments, it actually doesn't feel good within your body, and you sort of think, oh, that's not nice. So yeah, it's not a place I like to be.
I love that. Yes, I'm same here. I have two tactics that I use myself to prevent me from blowing up. One is asking myself, again, the power of the right question, asking myself, how is this going to help me? That's number one. And number two, take a deep breath, count to 10, and then if you still feel that way, make it hurt, but you will probably do it in a less subdued way.
Yes,
you know?
Absolutely. That's very good. For the person who used to shoot their mouth off very quickly, very, very wise words.
Exactly.
I think my Buddhist nun, one of the first things I learned from my Buddhist nun was learn to keep your mouth closed more often. Not just me, but that's what she said in general as humans. She may have meant me. But yes,
Yeah.
so learn to keep your mouth closed, because we often just say things and once they're out, you can't take them back.
We need to listen twice as much that we speak. That's why God gave us one mouth and two ears. If we needed to speak more, God would have done that different. Would have given us maybe three mouths, one here, maybe.
I love that. That's a really good way to think about it. That's perfect.
Thank you. Now, what scares you?
What scares me? Nothing. I honestly, nothing. I used to be scared of everything. I used to be scared of public speaking. I probably would have been nervous about this conversation 10 years ago. I would have been scared. No, nothing. I used to overthink everything. Now I just do it.
Exactly. I love that. What would you say is your personal superpower?
My personal superpower, I think, is that I just know when I'm talking to someone or dealing with someone, I just know exactly what I need to do to help them. I know I can pinpoint where they need help. And I don't know, I just trust and I just know. Yeah, I can talk to someone and they feel better straight away. That's my superpower.
Awesome. Now, I want to ask you now some fun questions when you were a kid. When we were kids, people always ask us, whether it's parents, teachers, relatives, friends. So, Kim, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer back then?
A school teacher. It would have been bad.
What do you want to teach?
At the time when I was a kid, I just wanted to be a primary school teacher. So glad I didn't. But I suppose I'm teaching in a different way.
Oh yes,
so
for sure.
now I'm teaching with my programs and books and so forth. So yeah, I guess I am a teacher.
I guess teaching never stops, because on a daily basis we're teaching. Whenever we have to explain something to someone, it's a form of teaching.
That's true.
Now, when you were a kid in school, what was your favorite subject in school?
English. I love to read. Loved it. I read all the time.
And which subject you could not stand at all?
I was really bad at art.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what that's about, and really bad at art. And I think it's because I overthought everything and thought I needed to be good. Because there were some kids that were really naturally artistic, but now I realize that actually you just need to be yourself. So no, I was terrible.
I see. I wasn't good neither with arts and drawing. I actually tried. I lost track of how many art classes I must have skipped.
I know. I think it was just that because when I was a kid, and I think most of us are like this, to be honest, is that we don't really use our imagination. By the time we get to be a certain age, we stop using our imagination, and you don't think freely and just know that you can express yourself. I don't know whether it's something that you've picked up along the way, or whether it's just you don't have doubt. So you don't have confidence in yourself, you self-doubt, because I didn't have confidence as a kid. I just think you're not really feeling free to express yourself.
Is that something that we feel personally? That's something that we're led to believe by the school, that they want us more to think in a certain way as opposed to?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, we know that our subconscious beliefs, by the time we're about 7, they're basically set, and we have a blueprint. So, whether you've even had, and it's generational because it goes back to many, many generations. So whether at some stage someone in your past has even been ridiculed for something, or you've done something as a child and it hasn't been very good, and another child has even said, oh, that's awful, that's it, that sets it, and you think that you don't have the ability. And then of course the school makes you do things a certain way. So yeah, it's complicated. I think it's not just a simple answer.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, fast forward to now. If you look at your path from the time that you were in school to now, how would you describe your path? Would you say it was, once you get into one line, it was straight sailing, smooth forward, or was it like turn and
No,
twist and so on and so forth?
yeah, no, very, very many turns and twists, and lots of unhappiness in the earlier years, because I just didn't feel, I guess I didn't really allow myself to be who I really am, because at the time, like it's interesting, and I'm not sure, I'm sure it is different from male to female at those ages, particularly in your teenage years. No, I actually was not myself. I didn't allow myself to be myself, particularly in public, because I didn't want to be noticed. Everyone had to sort of be the same. To be in this group of friends, you had to be this way. To be accepted here, you had to be this way. So I absolutely changed myself on the outside to be who I thought I wanted to be. I was miserable, absolutely miserable. And then going through my early 20s, I guess, I lost my mother-in-law when I was 24 to cancer as well. So that was my first real, and that was back then, it was a while ago now. Back then it wasn't so common. Like, you know, you didn't have every family that had someone, or everyone had a friend. And that was sort of the beginning of my journey of realizing that, you know, this is actually, life is important. This stuff is important to me, not what other people think. So no, up until probably my late 20s, I wasn't really being myself, and I was being someone else, and I wasn't really very happy. My friendships weren't solid. My tribe wasn't real. I didn't feel like I could actually just be myself and say whatever I felt. I always had to think before I spoke. So it's like I've had two lives.
Absolutely. You mentioned another thing that's powerful that we'll get into that in a moment. That's about, we're noticing more and more people getting sick and getting those diseases now than before. I wonder how much is that due to not only lifestyle choices, but what we're eating and the degrading of the quality of the food we're being sold in the supermarkets and all that. So I wonder if that's done. Maybe I'm being cynical. Maybe that done on purpose, to not on purpose, but in a planned way. And how much of that is, you know, because nothing happens by accident. I mean, the fact that more and more people are getting, you know, because way back when, I mean, I wasn't born there. I don't recall anyone from my grandparents' time that were, you know, had cancer or anything like that. But now it's almost
or heart disease or diabetes, or no one was really overweight. I remember being at school, and there were really, in our high school of say 700 people, there were very few people that were overweight. Like, it was really, and everyone was happy. I think they were happy. Like, there was no obvious people that were not happy.
I think life was simpler, less stressful, you know. Life was simpler.
Absolutely.
People eating more organic food.
Well, it wasn't called organic, it just was food, because there was nothing. And it's interesting you say that, because when my mum and dad died, I started, because when mum was dying, because dad died first, we haven't touched on that yet, sorry. Spoiler alert.
No, we'll get it right.
The first thing that I started doing was, you know, looking around lifestyle and what is it. So I started looking at food, and I started realizing that even I myself, without realizing, was eating stuff that wasn't that real. A lot of packaged food. So the first thing I did was went to buying as much organic or more natural food, and then going back to cooking from scratch, like the old stuff that we used to grow up with. And that was one of the first things I did. And it's interesting, I got ridiculed by my friends. It was so interesting. And what are you doing? What are you doing? And even my husband, we had this interesting conversation about grated cheese, would you believe? And I said, we're not buying grated cheese anymore. And he goes, why not? And I said, well, because the stuff that stops it from sticking together, the anti-caking agent, is actually not good for us. Anyway, so that was an interesting discussion, and I found proof. And so now we don't buy grated cheese. And so, you know, even down to that's how many things can sneak into our lives. So yeah, absolutely, it's in our food. Is it intentional? I'd like to think not. But someone in every corporation that's making this food knows that there's an ingredient that's not necessarily good for humans. So there's a knowledge there as well. Yeah.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that you're being ridiculed when we started cooking, because I went to the same, like, I love cooking. I may not be the best cook out there, but I don't mind spending an hour to cooking while I put on my headphones and just listening to amazing podcast. I don't mind. I
Same.
love that. But other people will say, "Why are you just wasting time? Why don't you just order? Or why don't you just go to the down the streets?" Well, I don't want to do that. I enjoy that.
No, it tastes so good. It
Oh
tastes so
yeah.
good. I know, it's interesting. My daughter's boyfriend, I said to him, "What do you want for your birthday, mate?" And he said, "Kim, just make me some meals. Just fill my freezer."
Mm,
And I said, "I would love to." And so that was really nice. It made me feel amazing, and it's good to know that other people enjoy home cooked food as well. Mm.
absolutely. There's nothing better than homemade, wholesome food. That's
With
it used to
love,
be every
food
day.
made with
Absolutely.
love. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, let's move on from the topic of food. We're going to talk about it in a moment because that's a key part. But um, let me see. I'm sure you heard the story, the saying that says, "Change your story, change your life." And by story, I mean what we keep on telling ourselves on a daily basis and
Mhm.
inside our own mind. So when you had to change your story to change your life, how did you do it? Did you do it through the help of friends, mentors, family, books? So tell us how you did that.
Um, because I didn't have any friends I could turn to at the time, I didn't do it through friends and didn't do it through family because, first of all, most of them were not here
Mhm.
anymore. And my family what I had left didn't understand what I was trying to do because I was this weird person doing this strange stuff. So I turned to books. The internet again it was not brand new, but it was still fairly new. So I turned to
Mhm.
books. I had joined a Buddhist group somewhere along the line there
Wow.
when my kids had been born, and it was amazing. We talked a lot about that. And one of the biggest books that I read that influenced my life was Bruce Lipton's The Biology of Belief. So he's the one that made me realize that we have such control over our bodies, our thoughts and our bodies, and in turn our life and our future by changing our
Mhm.
thoughts. And so that's kind of how it started. And it wasn't a pretty transition. It was very clunky because I had nowhere
Sure.
to turn and no one to ask, and I made lots of mistakes along the way. But as you change a little bit, then your awareness is a little higher, and then it expands and expands and expands. So yeah, so
Absolutely.
no, my thinking now is completely opposite to how I was thinking when I was 25,
Absolutely.
for example. Yep,
Absolutely.
yep.
Absolutely. I'm the same. Also had no one to turn to because of my family. I mean, they're good
Mm,
people, but they're not business oriented people. They're more like employee type of people, just mainstream. And I was always been
mhm.
the one to be different. I was supposed to go to law school instead. I read a book that changed my life, The 4 Work Week, and I just
Oh, it's a fantastic book. My goodness.
didn't. I was just about to send my application back in 2007 for law school, and I read that book, and you know what? I started my first business that took me around the world, and the rest is history.
Wow.
I was the first person there in my family, and I always been the one that's different, always wanting to live abroad. I mean, I'm of the belief that this world is beautiful. Why limit yourself to just one place that you're born?
Oh,
So far
I
I've been
know.
blessed to live in 10 countries on 4 continents, and I'm
Wow.
not even getting started. As soon as I can, I want to go back. I would love to go spend I mean, a year or two in Australia, and because that's an
Oh,
amazing
you would
place.
love it. You
I know.
absolutely
I
would love
can't
it.
wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, wow, so much that we can talk about. Tell us a little bit now, Kim, about your business. What do you do?
What do I do? Well, I help people around the globe to basically change their lives. I'm not going
Mm,
to get into the nitty gritty of changing their lives. So it starts with belief systems, and it starts with introducing habits into their life. But I have a bunch of modalities, like most people do. I'm a health coach and a Reiki master, and I do touch for health kinesiology. But the biggest thing that impacts lives, and I do use them all together, is it's Psych-K, which you mentioned before. So Psych-K works on balancing our belief systems. So what that means is, as I said before, up to the age of 7, our everything that we see, hear, feel, and experience gets downloaded to become our subconscious blueprint. And not only that, it is generational. So that means that what my mum and dad experienced back. So that actually comes through into us. So we've got belief systems in us that are from this lifetime, but a lot
mhm.
of it's not. It's from previous lifetimes. And with our
Absolutely.
subconscious mind, it's just going all the time. I like to say that it's like a record playing in the background. It just goes and goes and goes. And some people won't know what a record sounds like, but when it just gets to the end and it just clicks, 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 it's just going in the background. And what it does is it influences everything, absolutely everything.
So let me ask you one question
Sorry.
before you go forward, because that's a fascinating topic. So what percentage, I know it's very difficult to, almost impossible to put an actual number, but from your experience and gut feeling, what percentage would you say is from past lives of what we do today?
I would say some of my clients is probably about half, to be honest, probably about 50%.
Wow.
Because when you think about it, because it all contributes to what's happening now. So, for example, and this is not a gender conversation, but as a woman, for example, it hasn't been that long since women have been able to vote, for example. That's only been a handful of generations, really. I know it's over 100 years ago. But, you know, from there and backwards and forwards with, I guess, the gender roles, even up to the 1950s, you know, the women did this, the men did that. So that is still in us. So everything that we're experiencing today just kind of solidifies our inner knowledge that women are meant to do this and men are meant to do that. And it's not just about women and men. It's all kinds of things. It's like the men feel like they have to be the providers, and that's still in them as well. So these things are there. And what happens is we experience things in our own life now, in our living years, that solidify that, and they're like, yeah, that's right, I already knew that. Down to the scarcity mentality. I mean, how many of us have got people who lived in the Great Depression in our past? Myself, my dad was born in Germany in 1942. So he was born into a very scary time, limited food, post-war, you know, all of those things. So no money, no anything really. So all of that has come through to me. You've got your own stuff. So I would say it influences, is it actually 50? Maybe more, maybe less. Certainly things that happen in this lifetime are present as well. But a lot of it stems way back. I would say most of my clients would agree that, you know, there's sometimes we have reactions and stress reactions and beliefs to things that we've not actually experienced in our life. We don't understand where it's come from. And that will be an indication that it's come from a past life. But yep. So what I do with Psych-K is I can help with Psych-K. It's a beautiful modality. I can not only help to balance the belief systems. So let's talk, for example, about our core beliefs of love, self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance, because that's a huge thing. And to me, I say it's the most important thing. It's like the foundation of our life. If that's not solid, then what we build from there sort of is like a building. If it's got bad foundations, it's a bit wonky, a bit broken. So what I tend to work with self-love and self-worth and acceptance first. So I've never worked with one client, and this is including myself, that when I've tested that I love myself, that it's been a solid, strong belief. So we're talking about really basic stuff, because if we don't love ourselves, we can't make good decisions for ourselves. So I always start with that, and we go through and we change all of our belief systems that we work on in a session. So we change them from potentially negative and limiting to positive and empowering. So we do that when we're working together. But one of the best things I like about Psych-K is that we can transform the perception of stress around a trauma, a situation, or a condition. So for example, talk about my son who had an exam last term that he probably wasn't quite prepared for, and he was freaking out. So we did a little bit of Psych-K on that, a bit of a stress reduction around it. So he was able to then go to his exam without having that scared mind where you can't really concentrate, and it just made him more calm. So that's really helpful for anything that gives you a stress response. And the stress response can be physical or it can be mental. You know, if you've got something that's happening in your life, you've been there yourself, and you get the tummy gets a bit tight, the head gets a bit fuzzy. We get this really weird feeling of, I don't know, everyone has it a bit different. Sometimes we're a bit tingly, or sometimes we just feel, so we can take away that physical or mental response. So it means that you can be more present. The situation around you isn't changing. The trauma that's happened is still there, but we're just not going straight to that, you know, that response or the reaction that we had that was really detrimental to us. So that's what I do. And once you take that away, you're actually allowed to be yourself. You can breathe again, and you can think, okay, that's pretty cool. I can do anything I want. I love myself, so I trust myself. And the past that's been with me for such a long time is gone now. So I'm able to now be happy and be free and make my own decisions and choose my own life. So that's kind of how it works, and it just helps to set people free from from their own inner beliefs and from other people's perceptions and expectations.
Wow, amazing. So tell
Yeah.
us about the process of someone when someone joins your program. What is the process? Is it more like, tell us about the structure of your program. Is it more like a one-on-one coaching, small group, large group? Is it more based on videos, homeworks? So tell us about the structure. For example, let's say if I were to be a prospect, explain to me how would I basically what's a process and how would I benefit from your program,
Yeah.
so that people
Well,
that
first
watch
of
us can
all,
understand
yeah,
your program.
absolutely. So the first thing we do is have a strategy call. So we have a conversation so that first of all, it's really important for people to gel, to mesh, and to make sure that we sort of get each other. So that's a
Absolutely.
really big thing, because if I'm not the right person for you, then there are other people that can help. So that to me is the most important thing. And I like to explain to people sort of how I work and what I do. So when working with someone, generally one session, look, when I first started out, I would do it as one session gigs, and it really honestly isn't enough, because we need to work through we've all got so many different things going on in our lives. So we'll talk together, have a pre conversation first, and then work out whether or not which package would work for you. So generally we'll do 4 or 8 sessions in a package, and it's one-on-one in a Zoom call, or if it's local. I don't do so many local because the world is so big and there are so many people that need help. And we will generally have a bit of a structure as to, well, I'll have a bit of a structure as to how I'm going to work that through, and it all depends on the client. So every single session is different, every single package is different, because it depends on what the individual's going through and what they want to do work on. But when I'm working with clients, we work in all aspects of the entire life. So we're working on whatever your priority would be. Like if you were to come to me today, what is your priority? That's what's keeping you awake at night. We work on that first. So that clears the way. And then we delve into all things that are to do with your life. So it can be self-love and worth, relationships, it can be career, it can be finance, it can be health, really whatever areas that you need help with. And during the sessions, we work one-on-one. We do all kinds of the belief systems. We tap into your subconscious mind and get messages from your subconscious to mind to work out what we need to work on. Because quite often by the time someone comes to see me, the thoughts that have turned into things have often manifested as some kind of disease within the body. So we've got, it can be something from migraines, it can be to hormonal issues, it can be autoimmune, it can be so many things. So what's happened is the body over time has just sent us whispers as the things are going a bit wrong. And then by the time we hear them, they scream. So by the time they come to me, they say, I just need help with, for example, my anxiety. You need to help me with my anxiety. So what we do is we work back and we work out, and quite often we can find where it started and what the issue was that started it, and we can work on that and we can unravel.
Yes.
And then we work through, and then every session that we do it's beautiful.
Yes, I see that. Who would you say is your ideal client?
My ideal client, that's a great question. My ideal client is anyone who's ready to make a change now, anyone who's ready to delve in and ask the hard questions and work through any of the past traumas or any of the situations or conditions that are happening in their life. Anyone who wants to change their life from one thing to another and is ready to explore new options. And it's really important to have someone who's, I think, people who come to me are ready. They're ready to make that change. And it's so beautiful because when you're ready, then it just catapults things so much.
Okay, beautiful. Tell us about an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients so far.
Well, the first transformation I had that was remarkable was working with my son, because I actually got into Psych-K because of my son. I lost my mum when I was 6 months pregnant with my son, and I just knew intuitively that what I was going through was going to be affecting him. And so when he was born, he had lots and lots of emotional issues. And so that's why I actually started learning Psych-K, was to help him, because I was trying to find a way to help him. And the most remarkable transformation for me was him. So when I came home from doing the course and I started working with him, he changed before my very eyes. He became an entire different kid. He became a kid that was carefree and happy. I've also worked with some beautiful parents who have kids that have health issues, and once we take away the stress around the concerns about their children's health, they transform immediately. I've had ladies who've come to me who've had physical and emotional abuse for many years, and they've left that relationship, and we've worked on self-forgiveness and knowing that it wasn't their fault, and the change was remarkable. They're literally standing taller, the lines in their faces are gone, they just look younger. So yeah, there's so many. I couldn't even tell you which was my most remarkable.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just. So that's a beautiful example. So how did you feel when you saw your son in front of your own eyes transforming and changing into
Oh,
a much
it's amazing.
happier version of himself?
Oh, it was the most emotional thing, because he, as a parent, when you've got a child that's suffering, it's just, it's everything. It just consumes
Sure.
you. It's so primal. And I just cried. I just cried. I was so happy. He was just, it just lifted, and it was the most remarkable thing. And then from then, I just knew I had to do this. And obviously I healed myself as well, because the emotional things that had happened in my life and all the trauma, and during the course when I was learning, it healed myself as well. So I already felt different, and just to see him change like that, it changed my life. And I thought, this is it. That's what I have to do forever. If I can do this for everyone, that would be what I'm here for. Yeah.
Absolutely. How long have you been doing that?
6 or 7 years now, I think. Yes. I've lost track of time. It feels like a long time, but it feels like a short time.
Yeah, that's beautiful, especially when you're a business your business is about transforming lives.
Yes.
And that's one of the best business to be in. That's a perfect segue.
Yes.
The theme of this podcast is leaders with a heart. That is, people are building impactful business. Like, for example, for me, I'm an e-commerce guy. I'm launching soon on a crowdfunding platform called Kickstarter, a physical product. And for each unit I will sell, I will donate a pair of eyeglasses to someone that needs it but cannot afford it in India and then around the world. So, Kim, what would you say is a cause that you're very passionate about?
Actually, I'm really passionate about teenage mental health, because I have a couple of kids myself. I have a 17-year-old and a now 20-year-old, and very, very aware of what kids are going through now. And I actually have a lot of teenagers come to me for help, and be it online or in person. So that's a huge passion for me. They're not my everyday client. I don't see mainly teens, but I'm very, very passionate about it, because they're going through things like we went through as teenagers, but on speed. You know, they are just bombarded from every single direction. And some of the issues that they're coming to see me about at such young ages, even down to 14, it just breaks my heart. So I'm very, very passionate about keeping our teens healthy, because if we can help them at a young age, we can then help them to succeed. And hopefully some of the suicide rate that's happening in the world right now, particularly with our young men, I'm hoping that by doing this work, we can help them to realize that they are worthy and that they're loved and they belong. Yeah, it's a really big thing for me.
Absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. Now, how do you want to be remembered? What type of impact do you want to have?
I just want to be remembered as Kim that can help people. That helped people. That that I was able to impact as many lives as I can whilst I'm here every single day. And we were talking before, and I can help a mum, but that helping that mum doesn't just help that mum. That helps the mum's children, the partner, the house. Then it helps the community. So I'm hopeful that the ripple effect with what I'm doing, along with all of the other beautiful heart-centered healers and business owners in the world right now, I think that we're part of a collective that's changing the world. I know that might sound simplistic, but I think we're changing the world right now. And I'm excited to be a part of this uprising of beautiful, honestly, it's about love and connection and consciousness. And I think it's a very, very exciting time to be alive, and I'm grateful to be a part of it.
You know, there's a saying that goes around the internet that there's more and more people awakening. There's more and more people that are becoming, awakened soul, and I see that more and more around me. Myself being the first example, because I had a spiritual awakening since the past year and a half when I was stuck at home.
I've
The
lost
pandemic.
you.
Yeah, so I was saying I see a lot of people awakening, myself being one of the
Mm,
example, especially for the past year and a half. I think this
mm.
pandemic, I had this spiritual awake. Now I see things differently, and I see more and more people. You know, when you're looking for something yourself, you tend to see more and more of that around you. You tend to notice
Yes,
that. For
yes.
example, let's say you buy a red car, and all of a sudden you start to notice all the red cars on the on the roads. You know,
Happens all the time, doesn't it? Yeah, that's right. And I also know, I think that it could be because I think that we're noticing other people because they're drawn to us and we're drawn to them. Because as you know, with the work that you've done, as we raise our vibration, our frequency rises, we do attract different people. And I think that that's why we're noticing, and we're just all drawn to each other like magnets, particularly at the moment, because there's such unease in the world. And it's
absolutely.
really interesting. I live in a small town, but I feel like I'm surrounded by beautiful love, and I feel like I've got so many friends, even though most of them don't actually live here. It's incredible.
Absolutely, and I see that around me, all around me. You know, when you start something, when you put yourself out there and you do something that is for good, that is with a pure intention. Even in the beginning, whether you start a podcast, video, a blog, whatever, you might not get that many people watching in the beginning, but know that God and the universe are always watching you. And I had two beautiful
Yes.
examples of that, you know, happening in my own life. Like 3 weeks ago, I woke up one morning, I checked my phone, I saw a notification from Instagram. And mind you, I'm not at all active on Instagram. I have maybe 250 followers, just friends and family. And I post maybe once every 4 months. And I saw some of my posts were liked by a multiple New York Times bestseller, a billionaire. And that guy happens
Wow.
to be one of the main characters in the blockbuster movie and book The Secret, Dr. John Assaraf.
Oh,
So
yes.
mind
Yep.
you, I was not following him before that. So what are the odds of someone at that level noticing little me and a sea and an
Mm-hmm.
ocean of say 3, 4 billion? I don't know how many people are on Instagram, billion people. And again, I'm not boasting that someone like that like my post and commented, because that would be very shallow and very stupid of me. But I see it more as a sign from the universe that hey, we're watching you. You're on the
And
right
you're on the
track.
right track.
Keep
There you
going.
go. Yeah.
People are starting to
Yeah.
notice you. And another thing happened to me at the same time. About a month ago, I had an amazing young lady from Hong Kong on a podcast. And at the end of the call, she connected me to her mentor, who happens to be a very wealthy Canadian, you know, philanthropist in Vancouver. And he happens to work with some of the most influential people in the world. He's a business partner with one of the members of the Buffett family, as in Warren Buffett. So
Mhm.
we were supposed to have a 5 minute conversation because people at that level are very busy. But
Yes.
I swear to you, Kim, the next day when we talk, we talk for 2 hours, and a
Oh
few
my
times
goodness.
both of us were fighting tears because our mission was so in line. And he straight up
Crazy.
asked me, "Sorry." So yeah, we spoke for 2 hours, and at a few times during the call, we were both fighting tears because our mission was so aligned. And he straight up asked me, "What do you need from me to bring your vision to reality?" Because he's a Canadian, but originally from India. He is on a mission to help 1 billion people in the world to realize their dreams. Said, "Listen, whatever you need from me, I will help you do it." So the reason I'm sharing this is, again, not to boast, but I can bet on my life that if I was building a business just for the sake of making money, I would have never got connected to that kind of people. But because
Yeah.
you put yourself out there, you want to do good, then the universe at the right time brings the right people in your path. So, and when you
Agreed.
see that
100%.
unfolding in front of your
Mhm.
eyes, you get humbled, you get speechless, you're getting goosebumps, you're getting tears and all that. So it's beautiful.
Absolutely. And I think one of the big things with that is once ego is gone, because once you get rid of
Yes.
all of that other stuff, when you've got no ego, things just come your way, and you're so grateful for everything. Most of my connections, and they just turned up in my inbox. I don't know how they found
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
My first co-authoring gig, this lady found me on LinkedIn. I don't even know how she found me, and it's been the most
Yeah.
amazing relationship. So people just seem to find us.
You know,
I
when
don't
you
know.
base a business not on revenue but on impact, on service, you know, I was having this conversation with him the other day, and we're trying to project, okay, how much money do you want to raise for our crowdfunding? I said, listen, I'm not looking to raise 100,000 or even $1 million. My goal is to raise enough to give a pair of eyeglasses to 5,000 people. And if I were to reach that impact of helping 5,000 people, then by default, it will be $1 million campaign, because when you serve, when you help, you shift your focus from revenue to serving,
Mm,
then money is going to be a natural, organic byproduct of it. You don't even have to
yeah,
worry.
agreed.
It's gonna take care of itself.
And also, if you're just focusing on money, you're not focusing on the joy and you're not enjoying the
Exactly.
process. Like, I need to sell
Absolutely.
this many set, to make that much money. I need to see this many clients. I
Yeah.
need to sell that many programs. Well, actually, what about the fact that you're helping this many people?
Exactly.
It's about, has to be about the people.
It's about purpose. Once you have purpose, then your business is going to be, once you're working on something that's much higher, bigger than yourself. Yeah. So as I said, once you put yourself for a purpose is much bigger than yourself, then it gives you a direction, and everything starts to get in line. The right people, the right opportunities, literally almost by magic, fall into your laps.
Absolutely. It's interesting. When I first started my business, very first, I had no idea what I was doing, like most people. And I just wanted to fill my appointment books and I just needed to have this many. I was doing it wrong, of course. And I got some of the most interesting characters come my way. Let's put it that way. And now I don't do that. I don't even advertise. And my
Yeah.
books are full, and only the right people. I have the most beautiful, beautiful people come my way. And I don't have any of the interesting characters that I used to have that were actually more on my needy vibration. Because at the time when I started, I was like, I need to have this many clients a week to make this much money, to do this. So I would get all kinds of randoms coming through. And no, not anymore. Now I have the most beautiful people coming my way.
Absolutely. It's all about connecting with the people that you're on the same frequency, same level, same energy.
Cool. Okay.
All right. So one of the questions I love asking is, what is the smallest thing you've done in your life and business so far that's had the biggest impact so far?
Just looking someone in the eyes when I see them,
Mm-hmm.
be it on a Zoom call or not, and actually hearing them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they know that they're heard, and it just changes their whole life. That's it.
Yes,
Just being
absolutely.
present. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, if you were to blessed to have a time machine and go back in time and sit face to face with your 18-year-old self, what would be the number one piece of advice you'd give to your 18-year-old self?
Oh, just stop worrying about what everyone thinks. Just be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Just allow your weird, unique self to just be. Don't hide that, because you're just amazing, and we're also unique. That's what I would do. Don't hide anymore. Get out of the shadows.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Love that. Do you have your own podcast?
Not yet.
Why
Not yet.
not?
Watch this space. It's in the phase of, we're looking at it now. Yep.
Lack of time?
uh, I'm not going to say lack of time. It's just the next thing on my list. There's a
All right.
progression happening. Yeah. Yes.
All right.
And
Let's say
I'll have to reach out to you to come on.
it would be
I'd
an
love to
honor.
have
Now
you on.
let absolutely would be an honor. Now let's say you have your podcast very successful, and today you have the most special guest in the world, which is yourself. What will be the first question you want to ask yourself? I don't want you to think too much. What is the first question that comes to your mind spontaneously? Don't hold back.
Oh, I would just say, what makes you happy?
Oh wow, love that.
That's it. What makes you happy? I say that to
Mhm,
everyone. What makes you happy? Mm.
mhm. Now looking back at all your experience now, what is it that you know now that you didn't know when you started your business that you wish you knew?
That everything's going to be okay. The universe has got my back. Don't
Absolutely.
rush and freak out to try and get a book full of clients. Just trust that the right people will come your way.
That's it. That's it. Especially when you put yourself out and doing something with genuine intentions. Absolutely. Um, now, Kim, we can talk for hours. You're a true leader with a heart, but we'll have to wrap this up. We'll definitely do a follow up in a few weeks and a few months
I'd love that.
to see how things have progressed, especially once I've launched my product and all that. But do you have any parting tips? Any last words of wisdom to anyone watching right now?
Oh, what can I say? Where could I start? Just trust yourself. Trust that you've got this. Trust that the universe has your back, And don't hide away. Don't hide those beautiful, unique, quirky, potentially a little crazy things. Don't hide them away from the world, because we need them right now. We absolutely need them. And don't change yourself for anyone. Just be you.
That's key. That's key. Yes. All right. So if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to reach you?
I'm on all social media platforms, but they could definitely look at my website, so kimwagner.com. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, I've got Facebook. Anywhere you look, I'm there. Or they could send me an email at info@kimwagner.com.
Okay, I'll put all that in the show notes. Very welcome. All right. So again, we can talk for hours. We have so much that we can talk. We haven't even mentioned yet.
I know.
Part two, but we might even do a part two. Let's see how things go.
But we need to. We haven't even touched on the juicy stuff yet.
All right. So that's it? Then let's do a part two for some time in the next week or so. So I salute you, Kim. You're a true leader with a heart.
Thank you.
Keep shining your light. You're doing a God's world on this planet. Stay safe, stay awesome. God bless, and I'll connect with you in the very next year.
Thank you so much. It was so great to talk. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.